All right, let's do a little bit of jogging. There. Hello folks, welcome to a non-EV video, but I would like to think a very much EV related video. As anyone that's done a conversion project will be pretty much able to tell you, a straight 50% of the work is metal bashing. And a lot of that metal bashing is fabricating brackets and mountings and making things work together that were basically never intended to be in the same vehicle. Now, as you will also know, I have a lot of projects on the go at the minute. This year alone now I'm bringing another 2 vehicles online into the fleet, one of them being the Mitsubishi L200 truck and the other one being the Red Arrow. Now fortunately I have most of the metal bashing finished on those, but there's a good few more cars out here that are in a pretty much untouched state that we will be getting started on. And yeah, I'm kind of 15 years at this now, believe it or not, and the hands are not fans of doing so much manual metal bashing. So I decided there about midway through last year that I was going to have a look and see if we could make life a little bit easier. So this is what we're going to try, folks. So you guessed it, folks. Welcome to my ham-fisted attempts at CNC. In this case, what you are witnessing is pretty much the first test runs of my build of the JD's Garage DIY CNC Plasma table project. And as a sure testament to their skills, it pretty much works here despite my, let's say lack of knowledge and skills at these kind of projects. So, I know a lot of folks will be probably thinking, well, what do you need a CNC plasma table for, and kind of thing, particularly for me as being somebody that doesn't have any kind of a background in doing CAD stuff. Like CAD for me pretty much means cardboard templates. But since you crazy community folks decided to crowdsource a 3D printer for me there a few years ago, I had gone off and learned myself a little bit of the basics of FreeCAD. I can design basic parts and 3D print them, and that's been really great for all of the EV projects. But wouldn't it be great if we could cut things out of metal as well that we designed in FreeCAD? So last year when I was working on the truck, I actually tried a bit of photogrammetry on the truck gearbox bell housing template. And I was able to design the adapter plate totally on FreeCAD. And I found at the time a guy reasonably local to me that had a CNC plasma cutting service, and he had a full-size table and a hypertherm plasma cutter and all the things, and he cut all this stuff out for me. And the labor saving on that alone for me was really great. But unfortunately then he moved away, and most of the companies here now that offer CNC plasma services, it's just everything is, you know, minimum orders and big amounts. They don't want to know me for little rinky-dink brackets and things like that. So I started thinking you know, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was some way that I could have my own one? So I looked around. The usual second-hand prices are just out of sight. But I was always kind of doing little internet searches and that, and I came upon some folks building their own, but they were pretty much everyone's interpretation of it. But then I came along and I found these guys called JD's Garage, and they have this website and a YouTube channel where they build and sell the plans to show you how to build your own small scale plasma table. And I thought that would be a nice project. So pretty much the remaining part of last year and a few months of this year, I would pretty much just buy in parts, because it's a lot of little rinky-dink things like screws and nuts and bolts and all that. A lot of the parts are 3D printed, which is great, because when you buy the plans from them, obviously I can 3D print the parts. So I'd say I started about a month ago putting this thing together, and like I said, today is the first time that it's actually moved under its own steam and just executed G-code. Now obviously there's no tray on here, there's no plasma cutter connected up, but it's just to run the machine through its paces. So I guess, folks, one of the reasons that kind of attracted me a lot to the JD's Garage system was the fact that it's pretty much completely open, and all of the parts, like the 3D printed parts and the drawings for the metal parts and all that, they're all in the plans package. So they're all repairable, replaceable, and pretty much understandable. Even the control panel here is made up out of simple stepper motor drivers, ESP32, and a 24-volt power supply. And they give you the schematics and all that, so if something pops in that, you can pretty much change it out. So it's a maintainable system without needing any third-party business to decide to stay in business for as long as I'm going to need to be cutting out parts. Now, one of the things that nearly stopped me going down this route was the fact that they seem to use Fusion 360 both for the CAD and the post-processing. Now, I don't use Autodesk products at all. That's, you know, that's a whole nother video if you want to get into that, but we'll not do it now. It's just their business model just does not work for me at all. So they then, JD's Garage that is, worked out how to use FreeCAD and SheetCam. Now I use FreeCAD obviously for the 3D printed parts, so that's no sweat. And I'd actually used it for doing parts that I'd been giving to the local guy for plasma cutting, so I've kind of worked out how to do that. And SheetCam's pretty straightforward to use. So that kind of solved the whole tool chain for me. Obviously, Open Build's control here sends the G code to the machine, and that's running on Linux here now as well. So that's pretty much the software side of it as to my liking, and so is the hardware side of it. So obviously there's a lot more to do on the machine at the minute. I've got a local metalwork company hopefully going to fold up a tray for me. And then I need to cut the slats and all that kind of thing for the water and holding the material in the right place. So that'll be coming along soon. I'd say I'm about another month away from making cuts with this thing. But if you folks are interested in this project and how I'm getting on with it, let me know and I'll make more boring videos for you. But the other benefit, I guess, for you folks is with me doing things like this is that obviously when I do designs then, and I have done this even for things like the little simple mounting plates for the EM57 Leaf motor, I'll share all of those designs with you. There's another one here that I've been working on. Let me see if I can grab quickly for you. So most of the vehicles that I convert have hydraulic power steering, and we convert that to the electro hydraulic system with the Opel power steering pump. So I'm always having to make up brackets for that and depending on the vehicle. But I did this design in FreeCAD, and I had, like I say, the guy that was local to me cut out a few of these from 3mm steel. I got one of these in the truck at the minute. I did have to modify it a bit because of course I screwed up, shocker. But been able to make these things. Here, you know, the plasma table is well able to cut this out. Get them right, and then obviously, yeah, share the designs with you guys, because no matter where I looked, I could not find a published design for one of these. So hopefully this will be the kind of thing that we'll be able to cut out here on our plasma table, and it'll save my hands and save grinding discs. So that's kind of where we're going with our plasma project here. So there's one other aspect of it that I'll just run through with you now, just to totalize the boredom. Now, as you might notice here, folks, there ourselves a bit of a size difference. This is my first ever plasma cutter. Some of you might recognize these. The brand Parkside is sold by the Lidl supermarket brand, or as the Germans would say, Parkside von Lidl. This little thing I think cost something like 110 euros about maybe 2 years ago. I wasn't long here and I picked this guy up, and it was just brilliant. Like doing the subframe for the old Tard for the Tesla drive unit in there, just been able to cut out the shapes and that out of 8 and 10mm steel with this thing is really good. Like I said, it's a 40 amp machine. It's a very good price. Probably done about an hour's work totally with it, like total arc time with this thing. Maybe less. And I'm building a trailer for the truck. So I was doing last week outside here. I dragged this guy out just to cut out some brackets for mounting the leaf springs. Turned it on, pulled the trigger, made a little psh, and then stopped. And a little wisp of smoke came out of it, and that's it. So I thought, that kind of throws a pretty major spanner in the works for me, because Obviously, needed to make parts for the trailer, but on a more long-term facet, it had been my intention to use this with our CNC Plasma table here. Now, I know probably going to be people screaming and saying, Damien, you can't do that. That's a high frequency machine. It will create massive amounts of EMC and blow up everything, and this thing will go ballistic and go like this. There's the inner space. You know, they were putting the chip into the thing for the miniaturization, and the robots going, and one of the guys says, we don't have time for this, picks it up and rams it into the chip socket. Yeah, that's probably what would have occurred here. But anyway, back on message. I'm pretty sure I could make this guy work, even though it is a high frequency machine and so forth. But having it blow up, you know, before it even ever got near the plasma table, was not an ideal scenario. So that leaves me 3 choices, always 3, right? Not the 3 in the field, but 3, the number 3, okay? I can try to fix this thing. Probably take me, I don't know, a week to figure out, reverse engineer it, and I don't know, then find some part I can't get and have to budget, but I can probably fix it, maybe, until it blows again. Could go on AliExpress and buy myself a brand X, you know, blowback star, CNC compatible plasma cutter. And that'd be fine, cost about, I don't know, anything from 600 to 700 euros, until that would randomly explode again, and I'd be back to this scenario, except now I'd have a much more expensive machine that I couldn't fix and has no support. So that's great. So a friend of mine has a Jazik welder and had been speaking very good things about the brand and how, okay, yes, they are Chinese made, but they've kind of European and UK customer service. So I did a little bit of research on it. Yeah, they can actually repair the machines. They have a repair facility in Northern Ireland, and you have a 5-year warranty with the thing. So I'm thinking, yeah, that kind of suits me a lot more than this kind of an approach to things with kind of throwaway designs that will blow up when you can least afford it and leave you stranded, because yes, that has certainly happened to me. For those of you that say, but Damien, you're an electronics engineer, why don't you go fix things? It's fun. Lots of people fix things on PooTube. Well, that's true. There was a time when I enjoyed fixing things. I did a lot of that in my teens and early 20s with consumer electronics, TVs, VCRs, that kind of thing. And I became, as anyone who's been in that game will be able to testify, very disillusioned by the changes that happened. So fixing no-name electronics with no support, no real guarantee that when you fix part A, part B right beside it isn't going to go pop in the next 5 minutes, is not really something that I want to spend my life doing. So I scoped around, and let's get rid of that, and came upon this guy. Now, this is a Jazik plasma cutter. It is a blowback start, so it does not have the high frequency arc ignition system. It is the EP45C, and this looks, you know, pretty good. Looks like what I kind of wanted. And on further investigation, believe it or not, these things are actually what they call CNC compatible. So there's a little socket on the front, and it says in the literature that this can either be for an external compressor, which is what this one is, the 4-pin, or they can fit a 9-pin socket to that, which has your kind of torch switch and your arc on and your voltage, arc voltage output, which could be quite interesting because I've built the plasma table with the Z axes on it, and JD's Garage do have a torch height controller that they also sell. Now, I won't need that immediately, but if we do find that we need a torch height controller, I mean, we can get you a little bit better. There we go. If we did want to put a torch height control system on this for cutting uneven metal, we most certainly could. So I thought this is cool. Local supplier had one of these on X demo, if you can see there. Jazik 45 Plasma demo, 950 euros. Now that's a chunk of change for me. Not a lot for certain people, but that's a friggin' chunk of change, folks. So I kind of hemmed and hawed and did as much research as I could. Eventually splurged. Went in there a couple of days ago and picked up this guy. And I was using it there just with the hand torch for cutting out pieces for the trailer. This is a 45 amp machine. And allegedly this will cut 15 mil and will burn its way through 20 mil. I'd only ever need 10, 12 mil max, so it's absolutely perfect for me. I also suspect maybe this is like 45 real amps versus 45 somewhat amps, or 40 somewhat amps. And oh wow, this is really good. I like this. I'm going to keep it. So let's go ahead and get it. So we'll be able to. I thought, right, you know, I'm going to have to send this thing off to them and get them to change the compressor connector for the CNC connector, right? So I had used it, thought that's great, works, it's what I want. So I contacted Jazik. They said, yeah, we can either send you a kit, which they were willing to do to me, which has the 9-pin connector and the plug and wiring diagrams of where to connect it up and all this. Oh, wow, this is freaking great. So they said, you know, as long as you're skilled enough to do that, and, you know, we can talk you through it on a video call. I thought, wow, you know, this is okay. I'm not regretting splurging on this thing. So I'd send them some details on the machine, including the serial number. And that's when the wheels came off the wagon, folks. Because turns out this particular serial number of this machine does not have the CNC circuits on board that you can connect to it. Despite it saying so in the manual, their promotional literature, all this kind of thing, even the booklet that came with this, you know, had it in there. I checked that. So I guess that's the reason that it was a demo machine for 950 euros instead of anything but 500 to 600 more that I've seen these things advertised for. So I went back and forth with the supplier a bit, and they were kind of investigating swapping this for a machine that would have the CNC plug on it. Long story short, just my luck this, it would cost me something like 1,200 euros more to just swap this machine for one with the CNC socket on it. So I thought, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Now, obviously, you know, any plasma cutter can be used on a CNC table, okay? The torch does not care whether it's my shaky hand moving it or whether it's a robot basically moving it. So what I'm going to be doing here is I can get, this is one of these kind of Euro torch plasma connector things. So I can get a machine torch that'll plug into this from AliExpress for like 150 bucks. And we can basically open up the plug, take our torch switch pins in here out to the control box, and then pretty much that'll work. Now what we won't have is the arc voltage output, and we won't have the arc on signal, but neither of those are going to stop us plasma cutting here. So that's my adventures here over the last while with building up this plasma system. I know that some folks are going to say to me in the comments, you know, Damien, why don't you buy this such and such a plasma table and all this, and you know it's only X amount and that. Well, the advantage for me for this is I've been able to build up the parts over literally 9 months now, including this flipping thing. So it's not been one big chunk of cash for me. So that's it, folks. I'm going to be doing some CNC plasma cutting hopefully soon, and sharing some of my adventures with you if you're interested in this. Obviously there's a lot of setup to do on the table and getting everything squared and getting them dialed in and all that, so we'll be going through that. I won't bore you. There's a lot of videos on YouTube for folks particularly in the US and so forth that have built these plasma tables. So, must be bored enough by now instead of wanting to listen to me and my cut off head. So, yeah, if you have any thoughts on this, anything, you know, that just seemed weird to me, but I guess that's why it was cheaper. Do let us know. So, I'll put a link in the description to JD's Garage website where you can buy the plans for this plasma table. They even have a bigger one now. I bought the plans for that too, just for kind of lucky. See, and I'll put a link to their YouTube channel on there as well. And so do check out those links. Avoid the links for Patreon and PayPal and all that kind of stuff, because then I take your hard-earned cash, waste it on junk like this to allegedly help me build more cars that nobody wants. And that's a sound business plan right there. Okay, so do check out the links, as I say, to JD's Garage and the Open Invert Forum and the wiki and all that, and even my stupid web shop being there for you too. And until next time then, happy G-code sending.